Just letting you know before we start, this video is not for kids. I say some bad words in it. If you're okay with that, then sweet. Bye.
I am a minion freak. There, I said it. I'm a minion freak. Not in a weird way, no. Just, I really like minions, in case you can't tell. I love minions. And I've dedicated my life's work to researching them. And today, I will be giving you the full rundown, the comprehensive guide to minions, A to Z, who they are, why they do what they do, their entire history, and the question I get asked the most: where were they during the 1940s? Why do y'all care? There is a canonical answer, though. I'll get into that. But first, let's just go over the history of minions. Now, minions were created one of three ways. There's the first one where they just naturally spawned. This has only happened once in the history. And then the second and third are way more recent, and they are both artificial. The second one is they have been cloned by Gru. We'll go into that in more detail later. And the third one is that they actually turn humans into minions. It happened to me. It could happen to you. It probably already has happened to you. And you just don't know it. We'll go into it. The first way they were created, as I mentioned before, was naturally spawning. Now, we're not quite sure what caused them to be spawned, but they started out as single-celled organisms. And then they grew little tails, and eventually they swam through the water and they made their way onto land, as we see in the first Minions movie, a completely accurate scientific source. Now, we're not quite sure how much time was passed between them being a single-celled organism and becoming the evolution that they are today. But according to my scientific calculations, it seemed about 2 minutes. That's what the movie said. They were only single-celled organisms for like 2 minutes. Maybe it was sped up a little bit. I'm not sure. But let's just say they were single-celled organisms for 2 minutes. And then, fast forward a bunch of years. We'll go over what happened in those years in a little bit. But fast forward, Gru is their boss now. And Gru decides, I need more minions. Because in the first Minions movie, there's only about 400. And then in the second Despicable Me movie, there's about 10,000. So we need to figure out what happened between then. Now, we do know what happened because of a short film called Orientation Day. Now, what happens is they are spawned from the same DNA. They're cloned. So more minions are created. And then, over time, they've created so many minions, there's now over 10,000. But they also have another way of getting minions. I'm not sure if this one was ever successful. There seems to be a 0% succession rate, and that is turning humans into minions. Now, if you've ever been to a Universal theme park, there is a ride called Minion Mayhem, in which you get turned into a minion and you undergo the shenanigans that minions do. Now, I know that probably millions of people have been on this ride, and they all come out humans. There was that one test group in the demo reel that they show you before you go on the ride that successfully turned into minions, but I'm not sure if they were turned into humans afterward. Anywho, that's one way that theoretically minions are created. So maybe there's like 5 minions that used to be human. I wish it worked. I don't want to be human. I don't want to be here. I want to be in a minion world. I'm going to sue Universal. But now let's go into the actual history. As we've covered before, minions started in the water, and then they came on land. Now, somewhere between that, they magically gained loincloths, all like 400 of them, which is wonderful. Where did they come from? Except Norbert. Norbert is the one minion who had no loincloth. He just had a starfish bikini, which is kind of slay. What a diva. And we never see Norbert again, except Kevin has a little photo album, and Norbert's in there. But we never learn what happens to Norbert. The minions decide after a full 5 minutes of living, we're bored, we need a purpose. And that's where the bosses come in. Now, their first boss was actually not a human at all. It is a T-Rex. Now, believe it or not, this is not their only non-human boss. They have quite a few non-human bosses. And you may be wondering what constitutes a boss. Now, according to my scientific source, the first Minions movie, it's the most evil boss they can find. Keyword, they can find. Now, the minions don't have great resources, and they're also not very smart, so they can't truly find evil people. I'd say the most evil boss they come across is Scarlet Overkill, but we'll go into that later. I'd say that they don't actually go actively searching for bosses. They just kind of are satisfied with whatever stumbles across. So the T-Rex walks in front of them. They're like, wow, this guy is evil. I think this is our boss now. But of course, the minions also want other passions, such as bananas. That's literally the only passion they say the minions have, besides being evil, is banana. So that actually causes the boss's first death in the Minions universe, bananas. Because if you've seen the movie, you'll remember one of the minions goes and picks a banana, and he goes, yes, yes! And then there's a rock, and the rock gets dislodged, and it starts rolling down a hill. And then it hits the T-Rex, and the T-Rex fucking dies. Which is not great for the T-Rex. But it happens. And as we will learn, minions are responsible for a multitude of deaths. I think they're more evil than their bosses. I think minions are just... Don't be fooled by Bob. Don't be fooled by Bob's little smile. They kill a lot of people. I'll even go over the kill count at the end. So far it's at 1. Their second boss is actually a human. It's a caveman. One of the first humans on Earth. And the minions, they do them dirty. Because they come across a bear. And theoretically, I'd say the bear is more evil than the caveman. Because the caveman, I wouldn't even say the caveman's evil. Bro is just living his life. As we see in a short film, he even has a baby. And that baby is pure evil. But he's chill. He's just living his life. I don't even know why they thought he was evil. I think he's just misunderstood. But then, the minions, they decide to kill him off. Because they tell him, with a little fly swatter, they go, but the caveman decides to follow their instructions. And that was not a good choice, because the bear eats him and kills him. Lovely! But then they move on quite quickly. Well, not quite quickly, to their third boss. And the previous two, we weren't quite sure of a time frame, but I think with the Pharaoh, they're now in ancient Egypt. The Pharaoh was sometime between 2,700 and 1,500 BC, somewhere between there. And this is where the kill count gets a little messed up, because they end up killing an entire small population. I say about 100 people. Let's just go with 100. The minions use a pyramid, and they built the pyramid upside down. I don't know how anyone didn't stop them. But they built the pyramid upside down, and the pyramid falls over and crushes fucking everyone. So that's how the Pharaoh dies. And then fast forward about a lot of years. I'm not quite sure how many. But we're now in the year 1450, around-ish. And that is when they have Dracula as their boss. I'm not quite sure if it's Dracula himself, but it's a vampire of some sort. And it's actually his 357th birthday when they kill him. Brutal. Why on the birthday, guys? Actually, did you know that you're more statistically likely to die on your birthday than any other day? The minions shine light in his face, and he dies. Lovely. And they try blowing out the candles instead of mourning his death, and they just blow him away. He turns into dust, and he goes... He gets Thanos snapped, pretty much, by the minions. Now, before we go into the next boss, there's actually one more boss that's never even disclosed. At some point, the minions were pirates. How do we know this? It's not actually seen in any of the movies, but in some of the minions' merchandise, they are seen as pirates. There's McDonald's toys, there's just various toys, and we never actually see that in the movie, but it did happen. I'd love to learn more about what happened then. They probably killed the pirates, they probably sunk the ship, that's probably what happened. I wonder if the footage is out there somewhere. I highly doubt it, though. Then, we get to their final boss before the most of the Minion movie canonical events happen, and that is Napoleon. Now, this happens around the year 1820, and this is during the Napoleonic Wars. Don't know if I said that right, but they kill Napoleon. They fucking launch him from a cannon, and he just, and the Minions decide, let's run, let's, because there were actual witnesses to this crime scene. They're like, oh shit, we gotta run. So they run, and they find a cave. They go into the cave. And this is where the age-old question, where were the Minions during the 1940s? In the cave. They were in there from around 1820 to 1968. And they were building little snowmen, they were singing in choirs, they were going to therapy because they were depressed. All that happened. And anyone who says otherwise is wrong. It is canonical. Look at the movies. Please. Please. But eventually they get bored in the cave. Being, as you see in the movies, they grow depressed. Just like me. Whoa, maybe I'm a minion. We have Kevin, the main minion. But Kevin says, let's go, guys. We can find a new boss. Because they feel purposeless without a boss. They've decided that they are not free thinkers. That's not for them. So they leave the cave, but only 3 of them leave the cave. It's Kevin, Stuart, and Bob, as you've seen in the movies. And they travel across the land. They end up in New York, and they go on a road trip across the land to Orlando, Florida, and they go to VillainCon, and there they find Scarlet Overkill. Scarlet Overkill is the hottest boss. Like, she is, everyone wants to be her. And they somehow miraculously end up being her minions because they pass her little test. Because Bob fucking swallowed her gem that she's like, if anyone can steal this gem, you can be my minions. And Bob just, he gulps that thing, dog. And Scarlet Overkill takes them all the way to England. But in the meantime, while they're on the plane to England, the other minions have found a Yeti to be their boss. They actually found 3 Yetis, but there's one main Yeti. And that one main Yeti, they kill. What happens is, they're singing. They go, and they just, an iceberg crushes on his head. Awful. So they evacuate the cave because now there's angry Yetis and they want to beat the shit out of the minions. So the minions leave and they start going to England to find Scarlet Overkill. And they are very excited about England. They go, England, England, England. But Scarlet Overkill has other plans. She wants to be the Queen of England. And the minions are like, okay, we'll steal the crown. But then they completely forget what they're doing. And Bob becomes the king. And Stuart goes on a little side quest. He finds the fire hydrants of his dreams. But Scarlet Overkill eventually learns what's happening, and they surrender the crown to her. And she's still unhappy. She makes them go to a torture dungeon, and they almost get tortured, which is great. Good for them. They escape the torture dungeon, and they go and they look for Scarlet because they're really sorry, but they accidentally almost kill her. But for some reason, she survives getting crushed by a chandelier, and she becomes like super crazy, and she tries to kill the minions, but through the power of growing really, really big, because they found a machine that makes them grow really, really big, Kevin swallows a rocket, explodes, just becomes smaller again, and everyone is saved. And the Queen of England gives Stuart a super mega ukulele.
A super mega ukulele! Wow!
They all are happy, except Scarlet Overkill steals the crown again. But Gru comes in now, and he steals the crown from Scarlet. And he flies away, and the minions follow him because they're like, wow, what a great guy. And that leads us into the second movie, Minions Rise of Gru. Now, something that's always really confused me is Gru's age. Because in the first movie, it's alluded that he's around 8 or 9 years old, right? But in the second movie, 8 years have passed. Because in the first movie, we are told it is 1968. In the second movie, we are told it is 1976. We are told this. It is canonical. So 8 years have passed. And Gru, in the second movie, tells the Vicious Six that he is 11 3/4. How in the world? So that means he was 3 3/4 in the first movie. How in the world do you stay the same size from 3 3/4 to 11 3/4? That's so stupid. That makes no sense. But he apparently stole the crown jewels at the ripe age of 4. No one ever knows what he does with them. He probably gave them back like he gives everything back. Yeah, the minions are his boss up until around the year 2017. Now, in the Minions universe, it actually isn't 2017, it's 2012. It stays like in the 2012 range, 2013 range for quite a long time. In 2012, 2013, when the third Despicable Me movie came out, it's 2017. So if I say 2017, just know I mean 2012, 2013. They grow bored of Gru being good, and Mel, the one with the haircut.
Oh my God, bro! Oh hell no, man! What the?
Decides we should go on mutiny, guys. We should stop listening to Gru, and we should go on mutiny. I don't know if that's the correct grammatical use of mutiny. Probably not. But they leave, and they end up going to fucking prison. They probably figured out they've killed so many people. At least 100 people. And they go, maybe not, guys. The only 2 bosses to have ever... Technically 3, Mel, if we count Mel. The only 3 bosses to have ever survived their shenanigans are Scarlet Overkill and Gru. That is not a great survival rate. But they end up coming back to Gru, and that's where we are in present day. They still are with Gru. In the fourth movie, they actually kind of have 2 bosses at once more. They have Gru, and then they have Ramsbottom, the head of the Anti-Villain League. And Ramsbottom kind of Captain America's them. He turns them into superheroes. And we have 5 superheroes. Mega Gus, Mega Mel, Mega Dave, Mega Jerry, and Mega Tim. And these minions all have different powers, but they're so fucking bad at being superheroes. They are the absolute worst. And they never get turned back into normal minions. They are stuck with this fate forever. They are stuck with having powers they do not know how to use. And they have almost killed so many people with these powers. They probably have killed people with these powers. We just don't see it on screen. Now let's get into the actual basis of minions. What makes a minion a minion? And I think we should start by talking about the creator of minions, Pierre Coffin. Now, Pierre Coffin was born in France, and he ended up going to school for animation. And somewhere along the lines of that, he decides to come up with Despicable Me. And the original design for minions were going to be troll-like creatures. They were going to be really, really tall. But then he decided that's not marketable enough. He came up with minions. Now, what I like to think happened is he looks slightly jaundiced. And he looks in the mirror and he says, wow, boy am I jaundiced. This would make a great marketable character. Now, let's talk about the personalities of minions. Minions, as we know, enjoy crimes. They are devious little fellows. They have dark secrets hiding behind those eyes. Very dark. They've killed so many people. Blood is on their hands. They probably never washed it off. They probably just wiped it on their booty cheeks and moved on with their day. There's blood on their booty cheeks.
Ooh la la!
They also enjoy banana. They love banana. But their main purpose in life is to serve villains. They love villains. They say, please, you are the alpha, you are the sigma, let me serve you. And the the villain goes, "Please, kid, stand back." But they want to be by the villain's side. They know what is up. They know what they want in life. Which is good for them. Maybe if there was a human-sized banana that was sentient, they would follow that banana till the day they died. Also, they're fucking immortal. They cannot fucking die. They can't. They just fucking can't. Now let's meet some of the minions. Now that we know all about the minions, let's meet some of them. There are 10,400, according to some sad random Redditor probably, who counted every single fucking minion in the Despicable Me 2 poster. Who the fuck would do that? What the fuck? Anywho, let's start with the main character minion. Now that would be Kevin. I'm a Kevin hater. I know, pretty scandalous. Kevin is the main minion who lets the minions out of the cave. He decides to go find a boss after almost 100 years over 100 years of waiting, actually. And I just think he's too basic, and I think he's too mean to be a leader. Kevin, we don't know much about him personally. I feel like with some of the other minions, we get a well-rounded personality. Like Bob and Stuart and Otto. I feel like I know them quite well, but Kevin, couldn't tell you anything about him. He's just basic. He's like the Harry Potter of minions. Annoying and basic. Plus, he's mean to his fellow minions. Otto, he bullies the shit out of Otto. He's fucking brutal to Otto. It's actually awful. That's just my opinion. I know there's some Kevin lovers out there. I personally have a Kevin plush. It is scented. Pretty cool. So yes, I sniff Kevin. Besides sniffing him, I don't feel like he has any other use. Oh my god, I forgot about Vibrator Kevin. This is Vibrator Kevin. He is a McDonald's toy. And if you wind him up, and you press down on this thing, he literally just vibrates. More than one use. Haha! Sticking Kevin up my ass. Next we have Stuart. Stuart is a little too emo to understand. He's an enigma. He's a flirt. He enjoys life. He's whimsical. And he's depressed. That's probably the main thing about him, is he's pretty goddamn depressed. I'd like to think he listens to Gerard Way all the time in his little invisible headphone ear holes. Do minions have ears somewhere? Not quite sure where. I do know they have skeletons, but I'm not sure where the ear lands in there. It could be anywhere from their head to their toe to their booty cheeks. Who knows? And then let's move on to Bob. Bob, here's the thing about Bob. I was the biggest Bob fan. He would make me cry with joy because he's just a cutie little patootie. He's just a little guy. Until I realized he's the same fucking age as all the other minions. He's not a baby. He's not a child. He's the same fucking age. He just decides to act like a baby for no fucking reason. That kind of freaks me out. Why is he acting like a baby even though he's as old as time itself? It would have made sense if there actually is a baby minion. Hell, in the second movie they fucking hatch a baby minion. And it looks like this. They hatch a baby chick minion, a hybrid. But Bob is the same age as all the other minions. This should be the minion that's acting like a child, not Bob. Bob is entitled just because he can be. What the hell? Also, Stuart is the only minion to have given birth. Moving on. Dave. Now Dave, I'd say, while Kevin is the main character in the movies, Dave is the face of the minions. Dave, you see him in every movie. He even turns into a superhero in the 4th movie. But before that happens, he's the face of the Minions Land. He even sings in the 2nd movie. Dave also falls in love with a human. That's the only minion that we know that falls in love with a human, which is Lucy. Must have been so awkward for him at the wedding, even though he's the wedding singer.
Underwear.
And then we have Tim. Tim, he turns into a superhero too. But he also gets a neckbeard. He chooses that lifestyle. He chooses the neckbeard lifestyle. That's his fucking fault. And we have Carl. Now, if you remember the second movie, you remember the minion that goes... That's Carl. He's the reason why I have nightmares to this day of minions. He's the reason why we hear... and we instantly recoil. It's his fucking fault. Fucking Carl. And then we have Jerry's. We have at least 3 different Jerrys. We have kind of thicker Jerry. He's a little wider. We're not quite sure what he does. We have Jerry, who all the other minions leave on mutiny except for Dave and Jerry. Except for Dave and Jerry. And Jerry goes to Fredonia, and he gets a little pig. And then we have Jerry, who turns into a superhero with one eye. So we have thick Jerry, tall Jerry, and one-eyed Jerry. And there's probably even more. There's probably at least 4. I'm not quite sure. And then we have Larry. We don't know much about Larry, but he seems like he's a millennial on purpose. Then we have Mel.
Oh, hell no!
We already talked about Mel. He is the minions' bosses for quite a little bit. He leads them on mutiny, and he also has the hairstyle of a middle-aged man. It's his hairstyle, his choice, unfortunately. Then we have Otto. Otto is one of my personal favorites. Otto kind of reminds me of me when I was little. He's a yapper. He has braces, and all the other minions hate him. Just like me when I was a little kid. He ends up going on a cross-country road trip looking for a Zodiac stone, and all the minions absolutely, as I mentioned before, they hate him, but then they grow to love him. And he ends up becoming the savior of the minions world, which is pretty cool. Good for him. Let's go into a little deeper into the minions. We have Harold. Now, Harold never appears in the movie. No one like Harold appears in the movie. He is tall like Kevin, but he has one eye. And he only appears one time in a piece of promotional artwork. They don't even name him. He's fan named. He's just named Harold. I actually really wanted Harold merch, so what I did is I made my own Harold figurine. It's Harold. Let's go into my favorite minion, Phil. Now, there's a lot of Phils. There's at least 2 Phils. One-eyed Phil, two-eyed Phil. A common misconception is that Phil is the maid in the second Despicable Me movies. No, that is Tom. Tom is the maid. We don't know much about Tom, except that he was a maid, and he loves wearing maid dresses, so he's probably a femboy. Good for him. But Phil's just living life. He dresses up as a baby. He is the main character in a discontinued Minion game where he's on an island. It's pretty great. Phil lives his life. And then we gotta go into Gru. Who is Gru? Just kidding. This is about minions. I don't fucking care about Gru. Watch a different video. If loving minions means you're a Facebook mom, I guess I'm a Facebook mom. I don't like the title, but I'll take it willingly if that means I get to love minions. Just trust that there's Facebook moms who use minions for evil, true evil, and then there's me who uses minions for freaky. No, not like that. But that about wraps up our video. I think that's a pretty good comprehensive guide on minions. If you have any questions in the comments, I'd be more than welcome to answer them. I am a big Minion fan, and this was my first time kind of doing just like a talking style video, and I really enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions for what I should cover next, please let me know. This is how much I love Minions. I did no research prior to making this video. This was all research I had pre-done, and I just know this fucking much about Minions. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. But, yeah. That's my little guide on Minions. I would love doing research. I just wanted to get this out. Yeah. And before I leave, I did promise a kill count. So we have T-Rex, Caveman, 101 people. I'm just gonna say that because it's the Pharaoh and the Egypt. The vampire. Yeah. The pirates. I'm gonna go with about 50. So we have 104, 154, and then the Yeti, 155. 155 people. That's a lot. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good night. Bye.
Also, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.